Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios, Kokomlemle in Accra, at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Pad FM in Dalmongo, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Sunshine FM in Boko. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, and Let's Go. And coming up, Energy Minister cites time constraints as reason for government's inability to detect fraudulent activities in the power distribution services deal.
Because of the timing of the agreement, you realize that there was a need to quickly the agreement because of time constraints.
We'll also hear from management of the Power Distribution Services. Supreme Court rules that mining leases granted a company associated with brother of former President John Mahama, Ibrahim Mahama, is invalid, void, and of no effect. We have details. And as media freedom in Ghana on the decline, we'll highlight the track record of the various governments under the Fourth Republic on promotion and defense of the media.
You better shut up when I'm talking, okay?
I led the process in Parliament for the repeal of the criminal libel law.
That's coming up in our media freedom campaign today. We also have sports.
And Ghana will participate in 14 disciplines at next month's African Games in Rabat.
And later in the bulletin, we'll hear from award-winning international art Deborah Cox, who is rehearsing in New York, USA, ahead of the Ghana World Music Festival next week.
I'm looking forward to seeing you all there in Accra next week, and we're going to have a good time. How did you? How did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here.
That and more coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apaudu. Stay for details. And Minister of Energy John Peter Amewu has revealed that the concession agreement with Power Distribution Services PDS Ghana Limited was suspended after it discovered that there were fraudulent activities involved in that deal. In a statement yesterday signed by Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma, the decision was taken after some fundamental and material breaches were detected on the part of PDS. But speaking on the AM show with Kojo Yankson, the Energy Minister John Peter Amewu says the demand guarantees presented by PDS was not authorized and says the developments came to light following series of due diligence tests the guarantees were subjected to by ECG. He adds that the government of Ghana will further investigate and bring the perpetrators to book.
The announcement from government of the suspension is as a result of a material breach that the contract allows for some conditions subsequent and conditions precedent to the execution process. And so, as part of those requirements, the original owner of the asset, which is ECG, continue its due diligence process. And it is this process that I established that there is some element of fraud in executing the payment security.
Can you elaborate, please?
Fraud in the execution of the payment security simply means that the payment security tendered was not conclusive and was not in accordance with the requirements and the specification that was required, and that it was not authenticated by the sources that were supposed to execute that agreement. The payment security that they provided and that alleged coming from the source execute the agreement now denying that they have never executed such payment security.
So that's fraud.
Oh, all right. So that is fraud. So basically, you suspect that PDS lied to the government of Ghana to get this contract.
Well, that evidence will come up.
Now, the Energy Minister also cited time constraints as reason for government's inability to detect those fraudulent activities.
Because of the timing of the agreement, you realize that there was a need to quickly the agreement because of time constraints, and that's point in time of leader will be in a position to tell you.
You should be in a position to explain to the people of Ghana why you agreed to change that condition from precedent to subsequent.
Yeah, I did mention earlier on that the timing of the agreement was very key, and the date of execution of the agreement was one of the conditions for exercising the agreement. And so, to make sure that the agreement takes effect, because neither, as the investing body or the investor has the responsibility to make sure the agreement is executed. So whatever it takes them to make sure the agreement takes effect from the date that was stipulated, I think that was the value
So what you're saying is that in order to stick to the timelines, government of Ghana agreed that we would sign a contract with a concessionaire that was yet to prove its securities to us.
No, don't forget, please, I stated earlier on that there were due diligence processes ongoing as the agreement is being executed. I mean, as we speak now, because there are still processes to be completed, ECG on its own as the owner of assets has a responsibility to continue doing those processes.
John Peter Amewu is the Energy Minister. Now, a member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Edward Bauer, who also spoke on the AM show, blamed governments for not ensuring that enough due diligence was done.
So you go back and ask yourself, if you tell us today that the very reason why you are suspending this concession is based on the fact that there are certain aspects of the conditions and guarantees that they were supposed to do, that you are beginning to discover that they were not. These things were told. You were told that even before you went into that. It's an indictment on all of us, even in Parliament. And I'm going to make this point. I personally remember, and if Mr. Ifa will remember this, and then the then Finance Energy Minister Aboche Jako, when I insisted that they were stampeding us to approve a concession of this nature just within an hour, Parliament, I said that was so wrong. That man took offense. That I was being disrespectful in my utterances and other things. Today, the whole Parliament of Ghana was asked to approve such a concession in an hour, in 1 hour. And today, we are here with the fact that you have a government suspending this particular, agreement.
Well, this is how some Ghanaians, according to the Super Morning Show, have been reacting to the news of the suspension of the PDS contract.
I think ECG is better than PDS. For the past weeks, what we've gone through under PDS is not easy. You go and buy credit, you swipe it on your meter, your lights are off. You go to PDS office, they tell you, because they don't have the software to upgrade for the increment, you have to change your meter. I was in darkness 1 week. Before they came, it's left with my refund of the money that I paid. Master, up to now. So I prefer ECG.
Honestly, when ECG was operating, I was running a very small office. Every month, I did pay 150 Ghana cedis during ECG's era. As soon as these PDS people came, every 3 days, I'll go and buy the 150 Ghana cedis. The credit will just run out. I'll rush back to their office. The only excuse they kept giving me was to the effect that their software wasn't picking my system. These people had really plundered us. So it is very fortunate. We are so much happy.
Some callers into the Super Morning Show today. What's your own thought on this matter? Or you can send us a message via WhatsApp on 0244340437. Well, PDS has finally issued a statement, and Joy News editor Fifi Kumsen has a copy of it and joins us in studio. What does it say, Fifi?
The statement is dated 31st July 2019. That's today. It says PDS responds to suspension. And it reads, PDS has taken note of the statement issued by government through the Ministry of Information on behalf of the Ministry of Finance, acting for and on behalf of the Government of Ghana and the Electricity Company of Ghana. PDS wishes to state for the record that it has always acted and will continue to act in good faith at all times. PDS will go through due process by complying with the terms of the transaction agreement executed between it and ECG on one hand and the Government of Ghana through the Ministry of Finance on the other hand. PDS also wishes to assure the Ghanaian public that it will not rush to put out any information until it has been sufficiently substantiated in the interest of safeguarding the transaction and the image of Ghana.
So that's a statement from the PDS. That's the simple statement that they issued there. Now, let's move on to some other stories as that story continue to develop. The Supreme Court has ruled that mining leases granted a company associated with brother of former President John Mahama, Ibrahim Mahama, is invalid, void, and of no effect. The court also held that the lease granted Exton Cubic did not comply with mandatory statutory provisions of the Minerals and Mining Acts and Article 268 of the Constitution. My colleague, Joy News editor Fred Smith, joins me with details of the court ruling. First, give us some background to this, Fred.
Well, Mefa, an Accra High Court presided over by Justice Akabuafu in May 2018 ruled that then Lands and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Amewu had no power to revoke the mining license granted to Exxon Cubic to prospect for bauxite. The court quashed the minister's revocation of the license. Justice Boafo also ruled that the company breached several processes in its acquisition of a mining license, a situation that makes it impossible for Exxon Cubic to be deemed to have, quote, a mining right as required by law. Now, Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who believes the ruling was partly in the interest of government, was quick to add that the judge went beyond his original jurisdiction. He therefore issued a writ at the Supreme Court asking that it intervenes and rejects the ruling by Justice Akabuafo-Ebefa.
Well, that's the latest from the court. But what did the court say again on this matter today?
Well, the 5-member panel, presided over by Justice Julius Ansah, in its unanimous decision read by Justice Mafo Sao, stated that when the High Court held that the 3 mining leases were obtained illegally, the logical thing to do was to refuse the application for certiorari, and certiorari here means a writ or order by which a higher court reviews a case tried in a lower court. The court therefore stated that the High Court committed error when it quashed the minister's letter which revoked the mining lease. The Supreme Court declared the 3 mining leases void and of no effect.
Okay, so that's the latest from the court today. We'll stay on mining-related issues because the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has been speaking on matters about mining. But we'll get back to that. But let's head quickly to Parliament, back to our first story on the abrogation of that or suspension of the contract between government and the PDS. And the minority in Parliament have been reacting to it. They say they feel vindicated about the suspension of that contract. A spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Adams Mutawakilu, has alleged certain individuals in government colluded with the PDS to issue guarantees for the contract. Parker Wilson is in Parliament for us and joins us on the line. So what more have they been saying about this, the minority, I mean?
Right, so MFR, according to the minority, they're not really surprised at the turn of events. They give government the warning, but government failed. And as you mentioned, they believe that individuals within government circles colluded with PDS to, in a way, defrauded the country. But what he is saying is that very soon, by the end of today or probably tomorrow, they are going to issue their official response and let Ghanaians have a better appreciation of what went on behind the scenes as far as this deal is concerned. So we all should wait patiently. They're gathering their evidence, and then very soon they will let Ghanaians know that.
I'm sure their colleague on the majority side have also been reacting. What have they been saying in response? Hello, Parker.
Hello, Emma.
I'm asking if their colleagues on the majority side have also been reacting to this, and what have they been saying?
Well, Emma, their position has been same with government, that government is investigating and they are all waiting for the outcome of the investigation. And so then they are not commenting on the matter.
You heard my colleague Parker Wilson there from Parliament and reactions and talk about the PDS and the suspension of that contract. We'll get back to the issues about mining shortly. But since 1992, all 5 presidents and their governments have dealt in one way or the other with the media in the country. Well, today, as we continue our media freedom campaign, my colleague Raymond Dakwa has been examining the track records of the various governments when it comes to the protection and development of the media. Here's his report read to you by Fifi Kumsin.
If any journalist continues, these we are talking about, very soon as the Commissioner for Announced Affairs to read a gist of what and the AG of what they have done. And you agree with me, some of them were given several warnings.
Prior to the Fourth Republic, there was a culture of silence. According to the National Reconciliation Commission, attacks on the media constituted the highest forms of violations in the country.
Hello? You better shut up when I'm talking, okay?
President Rawlings then liberalized the media by repealing previous laws the PNDC signed.
This country is not going back. She's moving forward. I, John Ejekum Kufuor.
After the election in 2000 of John Ejekum Kufuor, the tensions between the private media and government decreased. Kufuor was a supporter of free press and repealed the criminal libel law. The press freedom environment started deteriorating after the MPP won its second term in 2004. Indeed, in 2015, the Media Foundation for West Africa cited 24 media violations in 2008 as the worst in the last decade.
The year 2011 was an election year.
Under President Mills, media freedoms were safeguarded. According to the World Press Freedom Ranking, the late president's average 28 ranking was better than that of his predecessor, whose average rank was 47. That notwithstanding, 2009 recorded the second highest number of physical attacks on journalists between 2004 and 2015. Perhaps the biggest blot on the record of the Mills administration was a boycott of the Multimedia Group Limited in March 2012.
The Media Development Fund is being restructured by the Ministry of Communications to allow for continuous financing of vital and critical activities and programs needed to respond to the current trends in journalism.
When then Vice President John Mahama took over from his mentor, there was a lot of hope for media practice in the country, largely because he had often touted his membership of the Inky fraternity. Indeed, it was during his tenure in 2014 that Ghana had its best World Press Freedom Ranking published by Reporters Without Borders. On the other hand, assault on a journalist by presidential staffer Stan Dogbe led to Ghana's drop in the World Press Freedom Ranking by the US-based Freedom House in 2015.
It is my duty and my privilege to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
President Akufo-Addo's ascension to the highest office of the land was good news for media freedom.
As Attorney General, I led the process in Parliament for the repeal of the criminal libel law.
Indeed, after so many years, the Right to Information Bill has been passed into law. Despite these laurels, there have been deepening worries about attacks on the media. Ghana has recorded at least 41 violations of media rights between February 2017 and March 2019. From the murder of Ahmed Swale through the assault of Latif Idris and 20 others to the attack on media houses, and for the first time in the Fourth Republic, eventual shutdown of two known opposition media groups, Radio Gold and Radio XYZ.
So that's our campaign, hashtag Defend Media Freedom. You can join the campaign as well and the discussion on social media and everywhere you find yourself, hashtag Defend Media Freedom. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's go back to the mining related issues we're talking about earlier, because management of Akroma Golds Limited in New Esase in the Kwewu West Municipality of the Eastern Region is asking residents there to exercise patience as they work on providing them amenities. The residents have been protesting against the mining company, accusing them of denying the community services what it promised. They claim the activities of the company have destroyed their water bodies and forest reserves, yet they have not had any corresponding benefits. They complained to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Kweku Asumatshemi, when he visited the mining site.
These people have refused to do everything they promised us. We will not allow them to continue mining here. We lack so many amenities in this community. That is even why we allowed them here. But now, they have just disappointed us. We have sent our plea to the authorities, including the Omahene and the municipal chief executive. But we have not seen them do anything about it. Come and see our houses. They are all collapsing. I think they should leave this community.
Lands and Natural Resources Minister Kweku Asumatshemi has tasked the Akroma Golds Company to as a matter of urgency honor as part of the agreement to the residents.
Please do, for you to succeed in this business, you need the facilities. If they should block road and say that you are not coming to work, you are not coming. Our friends at Nimont Kenyans, when the youth got up one day and blocked nearly 1 week, there was no way. And you can imagine production level per day, money that they could have gotten per day. We really want that to happen.
Lands and Natural Resources Minister there, but Human Resources Manager of Akroma Golds Limited, Frederick Sumwa Obing, explained that the company is currently not in a position to start delivering on its corporate social responsibility.
We are doing our best for this community. We will not deny them what is due them.
Estimate of renovation of their entire school block. We have
received an estimate for the renovation of their school block, so we intend to provide some money for this project. They should please bear with us.
Frederick Somobing there is Human Resource and Community Manager of Akroma Goats Limited. Now, one of the two suspected kidnappers in the case of the 3 missing Takoradi girls insists he is not guilty of kidnapping the girls. Samuel Udutek Wills made the plea when he was put before a circuit court in Takoradi today. As you know, it's been almost a year since the first of the 3 girls, Priscilla Bintum, went missing. 2 others, Priscilla Mantibia Kranche and Ruth Love Quason, are also yet to be found. Let's head to the phone lines now and speak to correspondent Ina Thalia Kwanza. She was in court and will bring us up to speed with the very latest. So, Ina, what happened in court?
Yes, so, today in court, the 2, Samuel Udutek Wills and John Uji, was brought to court separately. John Uji was brought by the police CID from Accra, and then Samuel Udutek Wills was brought by prison officers from Nsawam. In court today, they were charged with conspiracy to commit crime, 2 with kidnapping, of which they pleaded not guilty to all of these offences. So when the court had finished and they had adjourned the case to the 16th of October, when Udutek was being ushered outside the courtroom, the mother of Ruth Love Quason gave him a slap, and that was when police officers and family members also tried to attack. There was tension for over 15 minutes when the police was trying to prevent the family from getting closer to the suspect. It was really emotional. But Anata, before I continue, the chief state attorney of this case, Patient Klinogo, said that on 4th of June this year, when John Uji was arrested, they found out from a Facebook chat that he had a mobile phone conversation with Samuel Udutek Wills. And in that conversation, it revealed that there was a coded language on kidnapping and blood sacrifice, as well as discussion on drugs which could be administered to the victims.
Interesting development there from the court today. Interesting. Now, in a related development, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says police are relentlessly pursuing the case to ensure the girls are reunited with their families. Mr. Derry told MPs yesterday he could not tell when the girls will be rescued, as he assured vigorous efforts were being made to find them. He said the Western Region Police have also been tasked to update the families on the investigations.
The question is, when a man returning them, I don't have an explanation for what does not exist. We would send them immediately, we find them. Mr. Speaker, I've said that the issue of dealing with families is being handled by my sister. As much as possible, where we think we have information that they should know, we let them know. But we told the police right in the Western Region, keep in touch with them. But as I have said, it's not everything that we can tell them. What we tell them is that we are making progress and we hope to arrange them.
Interior Minister Ambrose Derry there. The midday news will take a quick break, but first a quick recap of our top stories. Energy Minister cites time constraints as reason for government's inability to detect fraudulent activities in the power distribution services deal. And still to come later in the bulletin, we'll hear from award-winning international art Deborah Cox, who is rehearsing in the New York, USA, ahead of the World Music Festival next week.
I'm looking forward to seeing you all there in Accra next week, and we're going to have a good time. How did you? How did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here.
That's coming up after the break.
Let's go, My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Let's go for sports now. And Benedict has the latest.
Yes, my friend. The International Games and Competitions Committee has confirmed Ghana will present 95 athletes at next month's African Games in Morocco. Now, the 95 are coming from 14 sporting disciplines. National Sports Authority boss Peter Chumesi has been explaining what went into the selection process.
Ghana's focus is more on the winning medal, submitting a list of athletes who have the great potential in terms of their world ranking, their African ranking, to be able to really win medals and trophies for the country to boost it. I think recent past we have had some of the failures in terms of submitting so large a contingent, and then we come home. I think it's based on our memories. The participation in the Australian Games, I think, where we brought Olympians and bronze and so forth. I think we are doing things differently, especially under this particular regime.
So that was Professor Peter Chumesi, who is National Sports Authority boss. Now, Ghana striker Kevin Prince Boateng has completed his medicals at Fiorentina. Boateng arrived in Florence this morning to finalize a €1 million transfer to the club. And you look at the deals that he's had, for the last how many years, 5 years, the person behind Kevin Prince Boateng is really doing a good job. I mean, from Barca to Fiorentina, before joining Barca, Las Palmas, and all the teams that he's played in his career, amazing clubs. I mean, he's played for. Also, Black Meteors captain Yao Yeboah has joined La Liga side Celta de Vigo from Segunda side Numancia on loan. And when you get to the Twitter handle of Esperance of Tunisia, they've written champions again. I mean, this is because Court of Arbitration for Sport, they ruled in their favor. The CAF Champions League issue they had, that game that was abandoned, that the Confederation of African Football mentioned that they were going to play again with that Casablanca of Morocco. Well, the ruling came out just a few minutes ago, and they ruled that they should keep the trophy as well as the medals.
Interesting. And that's the latest from the world of sports with Benedict. Now, government is being asked to cough up 5.7 million Ghana cedis to compensate victims of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence in January this year. The victims claim they've been left with serious injuries and others rendered jobless after the incident. You'll recall security personnel fired bullets at the Baoleshi Center, and the victims say many of them were maimed. They are demanding 250,000 Ghana cedis each. Godwin Eduji Tamaklo is a lawyer for the victims.
The applicants are persons who say they are victims of the shooting incident that took place on the 31st day of January 2019. And they have exhibited in their application before the Human Rights Court evidence of that. And so they are asking the court to declare that the manner in which they were treated by the officers in the NSC, the National Security Council T-shirts or uniforms was unlawful and violates their fundamental human rights, and therefore they are asking for compensation in that respect.
Did anything go into this amount that they are seeking to get from?
Some of them have gone through surgery. Some have gone through about 5 different surgeries and what have you. So, yeah.
Godwin Eduji Tamaklo is a lawyer for victims of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence. Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States Congress, Nancy Pelosi, has lauded Ghana's democratic credentials, saying the country is a model of thriving democracy in the world. According to her, the two countries have enjoyed smooth bilateral relations with the visits by 3 American presidents, Clinton, Bush and Obama, demonstrating this. Here are excerpts of her address.
America salutes you for your leadership in global peace and humanitarian missions. Indeed, Ghana was the first country in which America sent Peace Corps volunteers. Imagine this: we had a brand new president, President John F. Kennedy, a new president born in the century that he served in. The Peace Corps was close to his heart. It was very special and unique for him, for America, to reach out. And the first Peace Corps volunteers he sent were to Ghana.
Senate here presence, Congress here presence, has presented us with a mix
Now let's talk about the Ghana World Music Festival slated for August 3rd and 4th right here in Ghana. We know Jamaican reggae fusion band, The Third World, are going to be live in concert, as well as American award-winning international artist Deborah Cox. Ahead of the event, Miss Cox and her team have been rehearsing in New York. She spoke to Gifty Andropia, of course, and she had to give us some freestyle.
Don't you remember that you promised me? Yes, you promised me that you never leave me.
I'm looking forward to seeing you all there in Accra next week, and we're going to have a good time. How did you? How did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. I've tried that love thing for the last time. My heart says no, nobody's supposed to be here, but you came along and changed my mind.
And it's happening just this 3rd and 4th of August at the Fantasy Dome. You ought to be there. It's the Ghana World Music Festival. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau. Have a great day.